Hi, I'm Steve Miranda. I'm the Executive Vice President of Oracle Applications Development. Joining me today is Jack Harington. Jack is the Technical Partnerships Lead for Oracle Red Bull Racing. Jack, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Steve.
Now, Oracle Red Bull Racing, and really F1 in general, just tremendous fan experience, what we call customer experience in our applications. Now, you've been using Oracle Customer Experience for quite some time. Maybe can you give us a perspective of how you use Oracle, and really, but like, what is the philosophy and focus that you all have on your fans and of your customers?
Well, I think for us, we realised that without our fans, we wouldn't exist. So we need to give back to our fans as much as they give to us. And before we started work with Oracle, that was very unpersonalised. It was more of a sort of broad brush approach to how we communicated to our fans and how we brought them closer to the team. Now, utilising the CX tools that have been provided by Oracle, we built a loyalty platform called the Paddock, where ultimately fans can engage with us as they normally would do by watching a video of Max talking about his favourite circuit or reading an interview with Laurent and talking about the season ahead. They can gain points which can be traded in for prizes. So you can come and visit us a circuit, get some signed merchandise. That's one element of it. The other element of it is that they're able to actually interact with the teams unlike any other Formula One team. So we actually allowed our fans to design the car a couple of years ago. So they actually designed the livery of the car and we raced it at all the US circuits. So for us, it's also understanding who our fans are, gathering more data on who they are so we can deliver content that they want to see. Are they a Max fan? Are they an Isaac fan? And really deep diving into who they are and what their interests are so we can deliver them what they need, what they want, keep them close to us as a team, and hopefully build our fan base ever more.
Yeah, absolutely. The results speak for themselves. I mean, just a great and enthusiastic fan base. Now, for years you've been using Fusion CX, but now recently you've added Enterprise Performance Management and HCM, or Human Capital Management. So can you give us some of the drivers behind those changes?
I think the first thing that we say is we've seen the performance that Oracle has brought to us in the other areas of the business that we've been working on. I mean, the strategy simulations, since we started working with Oracle, we've won a championship pretty much every year. So I think if we had trust in those systems, we're going to have trust in those platforms too. But also it's, with Formula One, it's really about performance. And in Formula One, you try and look for performance anywhere that you can find it. And maybe people focus on the car, but actually it's the people behind the car that are really driving that performance. So we need to make sure that we're pushing them as much as we're pushing the technology that's going into our car itself. So that's the major driver, is really trying to find efficiencies, really tailor the tools that we're providing to our staff to them so they can utilize them in the best way and get the most performance out of themselves.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a couple times the drivers in terms of the fan experience, and I think that's what we all as fans see of your organization. But you, like many other organizations, many of our HCM customers, it's really critical to have the right people and the people systems in place for a high-performing organization. In your case, like literally high performance. Yeah. So can you give us a feeling for, what is the importance of having the right people in the right spot in different spots of your organization for F1?
Yeah, I think that one of the things to point out is that Formula One, is a very shiny sport. You get to see this incredibly exciting race on a weekend. But ultimately, we're a business. And there are multiple different departments that feed into what we do on track. Legal, HR, facilities, you name it. Anything that we do is replicated in wider business itself. So I think that, making sure that whichever department you're working on, there's not, as I say, a broad brush approach to everything, that you're really tailoring the experience of that individual staff member, whether they be a person doing a pit stop or, someone serving in our canteen back at our technology campus. Like, we want to make sure that we're getting the most out of the staff, making sure they're feeling fulfilled and providing them development plans that really push them on to the level that they want to get to. And with Oracle and the embedded AI that we have in those applications, that ability is really increased from the solution that we had before.
Right. So we're quite proud also of the scalability of our solution, particularly in HCM. And it's scalable across different industries, across different geographies and countries, and really you have all of that. Can you describe how does Oracle HCM help you deal with, a diverse workforce, but also a global workforce? And kind of, as you described, it's really a traveling workforce. I mean, literally week to week.
F1 is known as the traveling circus. And so we're 24 races, 5 continents, 9 months. It's a lot of traveling. And so our workforce always isn't in the same place. So much like we rely on data to build, develop our cars and make them as fast as they can be, we're also now applying data into how we're developing our staff, no matter whether they be at the factory or at a racetrack. It's really having that live data that we can look into our people and really, as I say, give them what they need to really maximize their performance. And, having that unified vision of all of our staff in one place is real performance benefit to us, especially when half of our workforce are not in the factory the majority of the time.
Right. Now, we have a module within Fusion HCM we call performance management, really focus on people and their performance. In your case, literally, you're a sport that's built on marginal gain. I mean, fractions of a second, or the difference between a championship and not a championship. How do better people insights translate into success on the track?
Yeah, you mentioned marginal gains. I mean, in Formula One, it is ridiculous how close everything is. The difference between first and second on the track can be 0.001 of a second. So you can't afford to look over any element of our business at all. And so when we're talking about staff and how marginal gains feed into the performance on track, if our engineer, hasn't been taught the correct way to build the car, there might be a mistake which would lead to something happening at the circuit. If one of our staff hasn't been given the right development path to build the skill set that they need to design an element of the front wing, then our front wing isn't going to be as good as other teams. So I think there's a lot of focus on the physical build of the car and what it looks like. But the reason that's there is the people that have been designing it back at our base in Milton Keynes. So it's arguably more important for us to invest in developing our people so they can be at the best that they can be at their individual role. And as I say, there's so many different roles in our business that we need to tailor that approach.
It's amazing because, I hear from a lot of customers, a lot of industries that, their talent, their people is really what makes or breaks it. But you guys are measuring things in such fraction of a second. It's got to be this intense focus. Now, you also mentioned during this talk that a lot of people see the race and they see the flash and they see the traveling circus, as you call it, but Formula One is a business, and it's a business under tight cost controls, not only to run the business, but also sort of the regulations or the rules of the game. Can you describe how EPM is supporting you for those both compliance and faster financial decisions?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, in other sports, you might have heard, salary caps and things like that. In our sport, we have something called the cost cap, which is essentially an enforced budget that's applied to us by our governing body. Old days of Formula One, you could spend as much money as you wanted, and trust me, we did. But nowadays, we've had our budgets, near enough cut in half. And that means that, the decisions that we make around the business on what technology to invest in, what materials we should use, which staff that we should hire, where we should assign our individual budgets around our business has become incredibly important. And in fact, it's actually a huge performance metric for us as a business, is how you can effectively use the money you have to develop the car. Now, we've recently, moved over onto the Oracle EPM applications, and it's ultimately, much like we simulate how we build a car, we can now simulate how we plan our budgets. And based on those simulations, see which one works best. And ultimately, those investments are going to lead to performance on track. So it's a huge step change for us, and really also having that embedded AI to really do a lot of the admin tasks and get that out of the way so that we can focus on the big decisions is something that's huge for us. And we're really looking forward to see how this performance will transfer onto the track itself.
Well, yeah, I think just like, again, a lot of our other customers, in your case, like the less you spend on the administration, the more you can spend on making that wing or that engine or tire again for these fractions of a fraction of a second. Yeah, exactly. So shifting gears a little bit, zooming back from the individual applications and the success you've had there, how's Oracle helped you modernize your organization as a whole? I
mean, we could talk for hours. I think that the thing that I say is that Oracle touches every single member of our staff, whether that be how we pay our staff through Oracle Payroll, whether that be how we develop them using HCM tools, how we make strategy calls on circuit, how we design our engine, how Oracle Linux sits under everything we do, or OVLM. I could go on and on and on and on. This is the most integrated technology partnership in Formula One, and one that we're incredibly proud of. But the key thing to say is that this isn't a sponsorship, and we're very fortunate that we have the backing of Red Bull and that we can partner with people that we want to partner with. And ultimately, the trust that we've built up through working with Oracle is shown by the trust that we've had by implementing that technology throughout our business in a business where marginal gains are everything. So we can't afford to waste on technology that won't work, and ultimately we trust and very happy the work we've done with Oracle.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, that's what our organization is extremely proud of, is our partnership with customers. And, you guys see it, every week, and then over the season through the championships, very tangible results. So it's extremely, a prideful moment for us, the results that you see on the track, the little bit that we have behind the scenes. So it's great. Now, we've talked about long use of CX, recent use of HCM and EPM. You mentioned payroll as well, which I neglected to mention at the beginning. What are some of the benefits you think the organization should anticipate, given now you have the suite of Fusion applications?
I think we go back to marginal gains.
Yeah.
I think that's where we go with this. I think ultimately we did these things before, but we're going to do them better. And I think that the Oracle tools are allowing us to push the performance of our staff, of the way that we you do with our finances, to how we operate on track. And I think having the suite of Fusion tools available to us is just going to push us on to the next level. And I think especially obviously with the AI, as I mentioned, embedded in it, an emerging technology that you'd be a fool not to embrace. And I think that with Formula One, you have to be at the pinnacle of technology. But that's just not with our car, that's with our business too. And ultimately working with Oracle is allowing us to push boundaries.
Yeah. Well, hopefully using that suite to pay a little bit less money of your cap to integration, a little bit more towards the parts of the car that makes you win. And we're really proud of the partnership, and can't thank you enough for joining me today, Jack. Really appreciate your time.
Been an absolute pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.